Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today we are here to talk about muscle endurance, number 3 on the 5 keys. So I just want to repeat the 5 keys for you again. Number 1 is cardiovascular endurance. Number 2 is muscle strength. Number 3 is muscle endurance. Number 4, flexibility. Number 5, body composition. So we're going to talk about number 3, muscle endurance. What is it? It is the ability of a muscle to repeatedly exert force against resistance. So it's not just how much you can lift or push, it's how many times you can push or pull over and over and over and over. Okay, so why do we want to have muscle endurance? Muscle endurance is probably one of the more common formats for women to work on. They want to get toned and they want to see a little bit of muscle tone. So muscle endurance will usually do that, especially if it's your first or second time going through it. But why do we want it? We want to be able to walk longer. We want to sit down and stand up with ease. We want to do handiwork around the house without tiring. We want to play with your children or grandchildren without being exhausted afterwards. And having overall muscle endurance can definitely help us have better heart health and have a lower risk of overall chronic disease. Okay, so the more conditioned your body is as a whole, the better it can perform efficiently and not have to cause our heart to work so hard. So that's really important. And I can definitely verify that that happens with a lot of women. When they start strength training, they actually feel vibrant, alive. They feel more efficient. They feel things flow better. They feel everything's less exertive throughout the day. Okay, so let's talk about how do we get muscle endurance. Things like push-ups, things like squats, overhead presses. Those are the 3 most important things that I work on with women and with older gentlemen. There's a whole lot more that can go throughout the whole program, but I just want to talk about push-ups because being able to push yourself up off the floor and get up off the floor is the most important thing in my mind for anyone. And there are lots of people who are very strong but don't feel so comfortable getting up off that floor. Therefore, they never get down on the floor because it's uncomfortable getting up. They have learned to predict your lifespan by how well you get up off the floor. And so many years ago, when I read an article about that, I started performing get ups with clients. And you've probably, if you've been in the gym for a while, you've heard of a Turkish get up. Well, I created what's just called a get up, just an anyway get up. So I just teach people to get down on the floor and get up. And it has become a regular staple of exercises in my studio. So anyway, let's talk about push-ups first. When you start with push-ups, the first thing everybody thinks about is getting on the floor on your toes and your hands and lowering yourself down and pushing up. Nobody has to start there. That is not the most important thing to start with. If you cannot perform one full push-up, my suggestion to you is go to the wall. I have videos that I will be putting in programs, but go to the wall and put your hands out about chest height and lower yourself down and push back up, okay? Start there. Try to get 20, try to get 30, whatever it takes, but you want to feel it in the arms and the chest, okay? Once you get good at that, move down to a counter or a desktop. And once you're feeling comfortable with that, go to the floor on your knees and perform your push-ups. And then you work your way up to push-ups on the toes, okay? Very important to take it in those steps so that you feel successful and do not hurt your tendons or muscles that aren't used to working. Okay. Squats, you want to start by sitting down in a chair and standing up repeatedly using proper awareness of your muscle groups, which we will be talking about. I have videos on how to actually mentally connect with certain muscle groups while you sit and stand. That is the most successful key that I work with on people because everybody can sit down and stand up. But if you're using your knees to do it instead of your rear end muscles and your abdominal muscles, you're going to end up with sore knees by doing squats. Okay, so squats and lunges should never cause you knee injury at all. Squats and lunges done properly with the right mind muscle connections will never cause knee issues. Okay, so just remember that. Overhead presses. One of the things that I notice in people, most people that are 40, 50 and up, is pushing things overhead becomes an uncomfortable thing. And if they want to just try pushing something heavy, that's usually where we have rotator cuff muscle tendon injuries, even muscle injuries. So it's really important to start light with those. I use a lot of non-weighted exercise to work through the shoulders, but Just think about pressing your arms overhead and just start practicing that 10, 20, 30 times a day and work up to 1 minute, then work up to 2 minutes, and then 3 minutes. Then you're going to know you're getting some healthy rotator muscles. Okay, very important, especially within the tendons in there. It can also, doing that exercise alone can also help you reach things into cupboards better. That's the one thing I always remember learning about women is when they go to lift things up, it doesn't feel so comfortable. So there are really so many reasons, but my favorite is, again, just an overall better feeling of awareness of how well the body can actually move. Um, the things that people can achieve once they start getting their muscles moving in unison and doing the exercises properly, everything at home or everything at work becomes a little bit easier. So with that said, that is your lesson on muscle endurance today. We will see you next time for flexibility.